Hello children, I welcome you all once again to my channel, and today we are going to continue with chapter 1 of grade 11 political science entitled Constitution, Why and How. Before we proceed with our today's video, let us have a quick recap of what we had done in our previous part. We had discussed what is a constitution and what is the need of the constitution. How is a constitution formed and what are the basic features and functions of any constitution? In this part, we are going to deal with the making of the Indian Constitution. So, let's start. Well, formally, the Indian Constitution was created by a Constituent Assembly headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar between December 1946 and November 1949. Children, you must make a note that it took around 2 years, 11 months and 18 days for the Indian Constitution to be framed. It drew upon a long history of the nationalist movement that had a remarkable ability to take along different sections of the Indian society together. And if you remember in the previous video, we had already discussed that when the Constituent Assembly was being made, the members of different sections of the society, including the general, SC, ST and OBC, they were taken up as a representative of the community and were made the part of the Indian Constituent Assembly. Now, this constitution, it drew enormous legitimacy from the fact that it was drawn up by the people who enjoyed immense public credibility. That means they were very popular among the public. Secondly, it included the people who had the capacity to negotiate and command the respect of a wide cross-section of the society. It means that these were the people who were representing a large group of a country. Well, while designing any constitution, we need to ensure that no single institution acquires the monopoly of the power. It means that no particular political party or the ruling member will have the power on the entire constitution. For example, in India, we have the vertical powers and we have the horizontal fragments of the powers. If we take the horizontal division of the powers, we have the legislative, executive and the judiciary. Now all these three are working independently, but yet they check the functioning of each other. Now, a constitution must always strike the right balance between the certain values, norms and procedures as authoritative and at the same time allow enough flexibility in its operations to adapt to changing needs and circumstances. Now, it means that no matter if there is any law written in the constitution, according to the time, if we want to make certain changes in that particular law, a constitution is a little flexible, which permits us to make those changes. But once those changes are made, it is essential that all the citizens of the country should know about the amendments or the changes made in any law or any rule of the constitution. As it's rightly said, the more the stick or the branch of a tree will be rigid, the easily it will break, and the more flexible it will not be able to support your weight. Same is the case with the constitution of any country. If the constitution is too rigid, it is likely to break under the weight of the change. But if it is too flexible, then it will give no security or identity to the people. That is why we need a kind of a constitution which is neither too rigid nor too flexible. That is, if in case we want to make certain changes, those changes can be made. But making those changes should neither be too difficult nor too easy. Now, coming to how was the Indian Constitution made, we need to know that it was made by the Constituent Assembly, which had been elected for undivided India. That is, it was made before India got independence and was divided into two parts, that is India and Pakistan. Now, the first sitting of the Constituent Assembly was held on 9th December 1946 and it was reassembled as Constituent Assembly for Divided India on 14th August 1947. The members of the Constituent Assembly were elected by indirect elections by the members of the Provisional Legislative Assemblies that had been established in 1935. The Constituent Assembly was composed roughly along the lines suggested by the plan which was proposed by the Committee of the British Cabinet known as the Cabinet Mission. According to the Cabinet Mission plan, each province and each princely state or the group of states were allotted seats in proportion to the respective population, roughly in the ratio of 1:10 lakh. The seats in each province were distributed among the three main communities, that is Muslims, Sikhs and the general, in proportion to the respective populations. Now, members of each community in the Provisional Legislative Assembly elected their own representatives by the method of proportional representation with single transferable vote. Now, this method of selection in the case of representatives of princely states was to be determined by the consultation. It means that the members or the representatives of the princely states were not elected directly but were elected indirectly after the consultation done among the members of the Constituent Assembly. Coming to the procedure, the Constituent Assembly had 8 major committees on different subjects. Usually Jawaharlal Nehru, Rajendra Prasad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Azad or Ambedkar chaired these committees. Each committee usually drafted particular provisions of the Constitution which were then subjected to debate by the entire assembly. That means that each committee was given a kind of a topic and all the members of the committee were having a debate on it. Now, some provisions were subject to votes. Children, we need to understand that an assembly as diverse as a Constituent Assembly of India, where all its members belong to different sections and different sectors of the Indian culture, it would have not been able to function properly if there was no background consensus on the main principles of the Constitution. And for this, in 1946, Jawaharlal Nehru, he moved on to the objective resolution. Now, this objective resolution defines the aims of the assembly. This resolution encapsulates the aspirations and the values behind the Constitution. It was based on this resolution that our Constitution gave institutional expression to these fundamental committees, that is, equality, liberty, democracy, sovereignty, and cosmopolitan identity. And we find these main words highlighted in the preamble of our Indian Constitution also. Now, this objective resolution states that India is an independent, sovereign, and republic. Now, independent means it is not under anybody's control. Sovereign means that no other outside power is controlling a country, and republic means it is being established by the people of its own country. It also states that India shall be a union of erstwhile British Indian territories, Indian states, and other parts outside British India and Indian states are as willing to be a part of the union. It means that India will not only have the states, but it will also have those princely states as its union territories which were under the British control. Now, the territories forming the union shall be autonomous units and exercise all the powers and functions of the government and administration except those assigned to or vested in the union. And that is why today you see we have the union territories of a country which might not be sharing their borders with India, but still the Constitution of India is applicable in these union territories and they abide by the rules and regulation of our country. All the powers and authority of sovereign and independent India and its constitution shall follow from the people. Again, it means that all the public, all the citizens of the country will abide by the constitutional rules. All the people of India shall be guaranteed and secured social, economic, and political justice, equality of status and opportunities, and equality before law, and fundamental freedoms of speech, expressions, beliefs, faith, worship, vocation, association, and action, subject to law and public morality. And if you happen to see the fundamental rights of our Indian Constitution, those fundamental rights cover all these areas. The minorities and the backwards and the tribal areas, depressed and the other backward classes shall be provided adequate safeguards. And that is why the custom of reservation was introduced in the Indian Constitution at the time of its inception, that means at the time of its making. Because at that time, we know that after the division of India and Pakistan, the economic condition and the political condition of the country was not such that we can totally rely upon the resources that are available in the country. These people who were socially backward, they required some platform from where they can grow and they can excel. And that is why the custom or the system of reservation was introduced in schools, colleges, as well as in governmental jobs. The territorial integrity of the Republic and its sovereignty rights on land, sea, and air shall be maintained according to justice and law of civilized nations. It means that no matter India will be further divided into states, but each and every state will respect the dignity of each other. The land would make full and willing contribution to the promotion of world peace and welfare of mankind. Again, it means that India will support only world peace. It will never engage or initiate any kind of war. And that is why you see, though we have been facing a lot of terrorist attacks, yet we are not the ones who initiate or who begin with any kind of war. Because since time immemorials, Indians have been following this major rule of the Constitution that we are going to promote world peace and we are not going to contribute in any kind of riots or any kind of war taking place worldwide. Well, the members of our Constituent Assembly spent a lot of time on having a balance between the working of executive, legislature and the judiciary. They not only adopted the parliamentary form of government, which includes the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha at the center and Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad at the state level, but they also adopted federal system of rule. Now, federal system means having two or more tiers of the government, that is the government at the central level, state level and the regional level. It also distributed the governmental powers between the legislature and executive on one hand and between the state and central government on the other hand. In this manner, the Constituent Assembly framed the Constitution of India, keeping in mind the needs and aspirations of all the citizens of our country without any kind of discrimination. I hope this particular part of making of the Constitution was clear to all of you. We are going to continue with the philosophy of our Indian Constitution in our next video. Till then, take care. Thank you.